is in serious hot water after lying on Caitlin Clark on national. A word on the street is that Caitlin Clark, did not want Cheryl Reeve as her coach. At least that's what we all suspected. That's what we all thought. And that, my friends, was the narrative moving forward. Well, I'm here to tell you, Napheesa Collier just told on herself. I mean, she exposed herself as a liar, bro. I mean, she just let the cat out the bag. Well, me and Caitlin actually talked about this before the ESPN special, and I text Caitlin Clark and told her I want my coach, which means to tell me that Cheryl Reeve probably did not want to coach.
Hold up. Before we get swept away by another carefully crafted narrative, let's pump the brakes on this fairy tale that's been floating around the basketball stratosphere. Napheesa Collier wants you to believe she's the puppet master behind the most seismic coaching swap in WNBA All-Star history.
Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve. Napheesa Collier was supposed to be coached by New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello. They swapped coaches. Cheryl Reeve, dodged the bullet. Thank God I don't need to coach Caitlin Clark, man. Man, I can't deal with that. I would have had to swallow so much pride. I can't do that. Fee, she probably called him the Fee, talk to Caitlin, please. I can't coach her. I can't do it. This book's about to come out. You know what they're going to be saying if I'm coaching Caitlin Clark and the book's out? Oh, God. Fee.
She's out here claiming she texted Caitlin Clark, asking to trade for Cheryl Reeve like she's some kind of basketball diplomat negotiating world peace. But let me tell you something that's not just revisionist history. That's straight up basketball fiction.
Yes, I texted Caitlin before to ask if we could trade.
So, boom, right there. She said, I texted Caitlin before and asked her if we could trade. Now, why would she ask Caitlin Clark if she could trade coaches? Now, I can understand that being her coach, but still, we didn't even know if that was a rule. So basically, y'all passed the buck on Caitlin because y'all knew if Caitlin would say it, the league wouldn't say nothing.
And if you think for 1 second that Clark needed Collier's permission to make this move, you haven't been paying attention to the Caitlin Clark effective phenomenon. That's more powerful than gravity at this point.
God, Caitlin Clark, or what I like to refer to her now as Gangster Clark, heard Cheryl crusted blueberry muffin ass Reeve being salty in that press conference, throwing shade at the Fever and said, nope, get her punk ass up out of here. She ain't about to coach my team for the All-Star game, and that's why I call her Gangster Clark, because whatever Gangster Clark wants, Gangster.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe. Now let's talk about the elephant in the arena, the Olympic snub. Remember when Cheryl Reeve, as Team USA's head coach, had the audacity to leave the most electrifying player in women's basketball off the Olympic roster?
But I feel like Caitlin might have been keeping receipts and she saw that. Also, it is good to note that Cheryl Reeve was the head coach of Team USA last year. And of course, they did not select Caitlin Clark. They did not bring her to the Olympics. And so with all of that, Caitlin said, you know what? Why don't we trade coaches, Fee? You can have your own coach and I'll take Sandy. And Fee was okay with that. It seemed like something they agreed upon before the draft, but that was a little juicy.
When reporters asked if she had any second thoughts about not including Clark, Reeve's response was colder than a Minnesota winter. No, just no. Not a thoughtful explanation, not a diplomatic deflection, just a flat-out dismissal like she was swatting away a mosquito instead of addressing the omission of a generational talent. Asterisk, but that wasn't where the disrespect ended. Before Clark even stepped foot on a professional court, Reeve was out there on social media throwing shade like confetti at a bitter ex's wedding. She posted cryptic tweets complaining about the attention Clark was receiving, using hashtags like #12teams and #TheWiz. More than one player, as if Clark was somehow personally responsible for the league's marketing strategy. This wasn't coaching. This was jealousy masquerading as leadership.
Cheryl Reeves will be the coach for Caitlin Clark's All-Star team. Not feeling this at all. This is the same woman who despised her last year, saying, I don't give two shits about Caitlin Clark. The same woman who really didn't want her on the Olympic team. She was hell-bent about it. Very open about it. Same woman who wore Black Girls Rock while playing Caitlin Clark, insinuating that Caitlin Clark is a racist, so she's going to be pandering to the audience. Like, I hate
And let's not forget the cherry on top of this disrespect. Sunday, when Clark was putting up historic numbers and filling arenas like she was Taylor Swift with a crossover, Reeve was still out there acting like Clark was some kind of inconvenience to the sport. The woman who single-handedly elevated women's basketball to unprecedented heights was being treated like she was crashing someone else's party instead.
Clark and Napheesa Collier, they traded their coaches. They didn't trade any players in the draft. They traded their coaches, and a lot of people think they know why. So last year, Coach Cheryl Reeve had a few things to say about Caitlin Clark on Twitter. This was one of the exchanges. Cheryl Reeve tweeted about a preseason game and how the Lynx weren't going to be playing, and that the Lynx game, wasn't going to be televised. And so somebody commented, they said, is there a reason why it's not being shown? And someone else commented and they said, because they only care about Caitlin. And Cheryl Reeve tweeted and she said that part. A lot of people felt like this was very unprofessional for a coach to be engaging in the fan commentary and especially calling out one single player that has nothing to do.
As team captain, a position she earned by receiving a record-breaking 1,293,526 fan votes, Clark had every right to make decisions about her team. This wasn't some rogue move by a rebellious rookie. This was a franchise-altering superstar exercising the authority that comes with being the face of the league. When you're selling out arenas in Brazil and Iowa and commanding ticket prices that make people mortgage their futures, you don't.
Clark was kind of used in this situation, that they initiated this to possibly get Cheryl Reeve away from Caitlin, because we know Cheryl Reeve really don't like Caitlin, bro. She don't like her at all, not even a little bit. And so they knew that if Caitlin was the one to say, you know what, let's trade coaches, they wouldn't say nothing.
Take orders you give them. The beautiful irony. Reeve was originally assigned to coach Team Clark because her Minnesota Tropics Lynx had the best record in the league, but Clark looked at that assignment like it was a participation trophy she didn't ask for. She wasn't about to let someone who had spent months undermining her achievements suddenly bask in the glory of coaching her in front of a Scout Fever home crowd. The audacity would have been staggering.
I don't know what's gotten into Caitlin Clark. You are leaning into this bad guy role. I love it. I don't know what's gotten into you, Caitlin Clark, but you've been on some I don't give a F lately. I love it. Oh my God, I cannot believe she just eviscerated and embarrassed Cheryl Reeve on national TV like that. They said, hey, would you like to make a player trade? It's better yet, I'll do you one better. Get this fucking coach up out of here. Hey, Caitlin Clark.
Interview when Clark made her move during the live All-Star draft. She didn't ask for permission, she demanded it. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care, she said, with the confidence of someone who knows the entire league revolves around her. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rules. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules. But we just made it a rule. This wasn't just trading coaches, this was rewriting the playbook in real time. Clark essentially looked at the WNBA's carefully constructed system and said, that's cute, but I'm running my own show now. And what could the league do? Tell the player who's responsible for their record-breaking ratings and sold-out arenas that she can't choose her own coach. Please. The ESPN broadcast team scrambled to keep up posting trade alerts like they were covering the NBA deadline. But this wasn't chaos. This was calculated dominance. Clark had waited for the perfect moment with maximum visibility and minimum opportunity for Venestu. Make her statement. She wasn't just trading coaches. She was establishing her authority over the entire league structure.
WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules, but we just made it a rule. So, Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa!
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina. So therefore, maybe Stewie wants to come on over to my team.
Whoa.
Let me know. Fee, you want to give me Stewie?
We have breaking news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something that you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
I agree with Cheryl. I agree with the trade. I love Cheryl. She's my coach here. And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark because now we got more chemistry on our side. We got more synergy. We know what we expect from each other. So that was a bad.
Let's talk about who Clark chose to replace Reeve. Sandy Brondello, the championship-winning coach of the New York Liberty. While Reeve was busy tweeting about Clark, Brondello was winning titles. She led the Liberty to their first-ever WNBA championship in 2024, making history and establishing herself as one of the league's elite coaches. This wasn't just about getting rid of Reeve, it was about upgrading to excellence. And brings something Reeve never offered Clark: respect. She's a coach who understands that great players require great leadership, not petty politics and social media subterfuge. When Clark made this swap, she wasn't just choosing a different coach, She was choosing championship pedigree over championship resentment. This coaching swap represents the Caitlin Clark effect at its most powerful. We're talking about a player who can bend the entire WNBA around her. Who can make the league's carefully constructed rules irrelevant with a single decision. When Clark speaks, arenas fill. When she plays, ratings soar. When she makes a move, the entire basketball universe stops to watch. The WNBA might not like it, but this is their new reality. Clark isn't just a player anymore. She's a cultural phenomenon who operates by her own rules. She's proven that talent combined with star power creates gravitational pull that even the league's old guard can't resist. When she decided Reeve wasn't worthy of coaching her, it wasn't just a personnel decision. It was a power shift that will be felt for years to come. Absolute dominance. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here, and it's wearing number 2 to all for now.